Good afternoon. Welcome to February 28th live stream for Ring Ads. I'm William Mears. Happy to be here. I'm just doing a couple of quick last second settings here for the Zoom. And as you guys know, maybe you don't, if this is your first time, uh, obviously in that case, welcome. We do these live streams specifically for you. So I want you guys to always have the ability to reach out directly to me, and this is so that we can cover any challenges that you're dealing with in your agency building. So anything from client acquisition to scaling to campaign work, campaign creation, optimization, you name it. Okay, so that's what these calls are for, mainly. Although there are sometimes training topics that we cover, things like that. I don't have any pre-prepared training or anything for us to really go over today. Nothing crazy new to really talk about in terms of ad platform updates that need to be covered at this time to keep you guys on the edge there, the cutting edge. But I'm trying to navigate over to the group here real quick so I can inside of Facebook so I can see the stream and be able to see your comments, because there's two ways that we're going to be able to communicate. It's obviously through the comments section of this live stream. If you have questions you don't want to come on live and ask, then you can ask in the comments section. But I'm also headed over there. That you're dealing. Oh, I'm also headed anything from there we go. I'm also headed over there to the comments section of this live stream so that I can paste in the Zoom link. So if you do want to come in live and ask questions, so I have just pasted that into the comments section. You should find that at or near the top. And if you have questions, then I am here to answer those. Whatever you guys have on your mind, business wise, right? Agency wise, training wise, needing help with something wise, anything of the sort. I'm here for that. So let me know what it is, how I can help. And by the way, if it looks like I've been up all night, that's because I have been. I've been working. I don't know about you, but I've just been on this kick lately where I'm just jamming, man, just everything. It's pretty cool. Lot of stuff's coming together, so I'm excited about that, of course. And you will be too soon. I know I play things close to the chest sometimes, but for good reason. All right. Uh, any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. Feel free to come in live to the Zoom, ask away, and I'll just kind of kick back for a bit, enjoy my drink. And if it's a short session, sometimes we have those. I think we've had one or two where it's been like under an hour, but I'm not afraid to go. I block off usually a few hours to make sure that I can speak to whoever needs help. And if there's only a couple of you, then I'm only going to be working with a couple of you. If there's nobody, well, then I guess I'm not working with anybody today, and you guys get to hear me, I don't know, talk about whatever, I guess, until that happens. Usually don't like making my calls about that. So if that does happen, then what I'll do is I'll start talking probably about some mindset stuff, because I know a lot of people probably need that right now, especially this month. Something about this month tends to bring out like it's like spring fever slash building the agency. Is, I'm just saying, over the years I've noticed like students tend to go quiet or go dark more. They tend to do less. It's that lull, that spring fever slash I'm in the middle of winter lull that is really supposed to be high gear. This is a great time of year to be acquiring clients and helping local businesses finish strong with their first quarter this year. And I told you guys how this was going to play out politically. Remember, I already covered my non-political affiliations, I should say, non-affiliations, politically, I should say. And no matter where you come down on who you voted for or didn't vote, or if you're even in this country eligible to vote or not, doesn't matter. It does affect business and will continue to affect business. And I told you before that if Trump was in, then we had a game plan of it's going to be business as usual, grow, grow, grow. That's the pitch, that's the angle, that's the angle of attack. With Biden in office, that we were going to have some serious business challenges, and we had to kind of wait and see on some of the lockdown stuff. But as I've told you over the last couple of weeks here, actually, probably last month or so, it's been pretty interesting because I'm starting to see from the governor's level, right? Not from the White House, okay, but from the governor's level, state to state, I'm starting to see an easing of what they call an easing of restrictions, right? Or they're easing off of it, right? And so phasing things back in, which is rubbish, right? Especially after the research that's out now about how states that were completely locked down versus states that weren't as much still had pretty much the same results across the board. Basically, it is what it is. And yeah, I do have a little video meme for that, but I won't play it for you. That's okay. Um, and again, it's not got anything to do with who you voted for, just how the political climate impacts business. And right now, a lot of businesses are running scared. And I told you guys that that was going to be the angle, that was going to be the hook, because Biden's going to come in and start shaking things up big time. And my hunch was not in a good way, and that was pretty much right on the money, which means that's our angle, right, for the next probably 4 years, even if Biden gets retired and they bring in the VP. Well, then she's going to have a hell of a time dealing with stuff. I guarantee it. And again, her political views as far as the business is concerned is just as interesting in that regard. So that's where we're at for the next few years here as we slowly recover and reopen. I say reopen uh, some parts of the country. Then there's some states, where they're just basically saying screw off. We're not listening to you, right? Florida comes to mind. Texas has come to mind as well, and it seems like they're paying the price because they're having to deal with a lot of slower actions on the part of the federal government for aid and assistance. They really dragged their feet when Texas got hit pretty hard by those storms not too long ago, and so they're still going through that, obviously. But I'm just saying when that first started, and that's because Texas is a red state, and I guess the current administration didn't like that, and so now they're paying the price. But such is life, and again, that's why we do what we do, is because we're helping businesses. So no matter if we're in a recession or a contraction or a growth period, everything we do, every client we get, every or acquire, every phone call we drive to every client we have every day is extremely valuable, not just to us and not just to our clients, but to the world economy. I know that sounds kind of grandiose, but I mean, you really got to stop and think about that for a second. There's not many businesses that can say that with this kind of a model, right? That you're doing or a part of. So anyway, looks like we got a comment here from Carrie. Oh, and Derek. Okay, so let's see here. Hold on. Derek says, with the recent changes, where do I start now in creating ads? Derek, what changes are you talking about? Are you talking about the recent update there with broad match modified? Is that what you're referring to? Because that doesn't change how you create campaigns. It just creates how you optimize campaigns. And I actually covered that in on the 14th. So February 14th and 28th, actually every 14th and 28th of the month at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we do these live streams right here in the main group, here in the main Ring Ads group. And on the 14th of February is when I covered that in great detail at the very beginning of the call too. So that way you don't have to go searching for it. Okay. Uh, but yeah, February 14th, look for that call of 2021 and you'll get a very in-depth understanding of what the removal of broad match modified actually does for us. It's an advantage for us. And for a lot of other people, it's not, it's a disadvantage because they're not structuring their ads and campaigns in the way that I teach, right? And it's not because it's the way I teach, I guess, but the way I teach correlates very closely with the direction that Google has said many times and has acted on many times in the direction that they're going. So if we flow with the water, we're a lot less likely to drown. You know what I'm saying? Right now, there's a lot of people drowning, freaking out about what to do. So if you would clarify for me, though, because maybe you're talking about something else on changes with starting and creating an ad campaign, I'd be more than happy to help you with that. But I need to know a little bit more about that. While I'm waiting on that, I'm going to Carrie's comment here. says, hey, William, any ideas as to why all of my new winning keyword ads keep being disapproved for inaccurate business name when they are accurate? It's been happening to every new winning keyword the last 3 or 4 days. And I appeal, they reapprove, and then it gets disapproved again. If you have some insight, cool. Just figured I'd ask. Sometimes that happens. What you need to do is you're getting auto flagged, and you need to make sure that just double check your MP3 if you're using an MP3. If you're using speech to text, maybe that's why, because maybe the business name doesn't come across right. It sounds maybe too robotic or something. That's possible. But the biggest thing that you're going to want to do, Carrie, that's going to help you out a lot long term is stay in good communication with Google support, right? Through the chat function, upper right hand corner of your ads account, you'll see a little question mark, and there should be a little chat option there. For most people, most of you will have that. And if you don't, then you can probably get access to that. If you're in the US, and I'm not you, I'm saying everybody else, Carrie, everybody else in the US as well should also have access to a phone number at some point, if not right away. So, oh, Derek says thank you. So I guess that answers that question about broad match modified. Yet another person who might have been freaking out, I don't know if he was or not, about broad match modified has seen the light. I love it. I love seeing that. So yeah, it's covered in great detail, my man, in probably like the first 30 to 40 minutes of that last live stream that we did. Um, I cover everything from what everybody else is saying about it, what Google says directly from their announcement, what we do about it, how we now optimize, why it's easier for us, and then I show many examples of other people freaking the fuck out about it. Not to poke fun at them at all or anything, or be judgy, but just to give you guys perspective of like, hey, this is like when I say this is what we need to be doing. I'm not saying it because I'm on an ego trip or something. I'm not in this for the fame, guys, right? I told you guys why I do this. And if you don't know, here's a quick refresher. There's two main reasons why I decided to carry on in the fashion of what's ring ads, right? Because I could have just gone on with my agency and said, you know what, just do it all myself, hire, train within, never teach anybody this stuff unless I'm paying them a wage. And I'm doing that, but here's the thing. There's only so much that I'll ever be able to pull from that. I'm all about leverage, and I'm also all about abundance. So I'm an abundant thinker, meaning I don't like to hoard or hog things, or I like to share. I do play things close to the chest until it's time to share them, right? So I am very strategic about that. Some people even say maybe even Machiavellian a bit. I wouldn't disagree with that, and rightfully so, because there's a lot of eyes, and some that I know for a fact are just even probably right now tuning in just to see what the man is saying, right? Because I've taught a lot of successful students, and some have gone on to teach, some have gone on to or try to teach, right? Some have gone on to um, just run their own business successfully on their own, and when things like that happen, again, you got to play things a little bit closer to the chest. That's all. But I do believe in sharing. And from that sharing, here's what I know is going to happen. That's leverage, because now when I share with you guys how to build up your agency and do it well and make a ton of money doing it and be happy or happier, let's say, in life and your business, and experience some of the things that I've got to experience, if not more, then you're going to be able to come back to the groups and contribute, right? You're going to be able to reinvest with us. And the thing is, the feature requests, which we don't really need right now, I'm just saying, we've got a ton on the development plate, but the idea is this: over time, as new ideas and new techniques and new methods and new strategies come into play, things evolve over the years. And it's always better leverage, greater leverage to have a community of solid people in this model band together and basically have no other competition. That's what that does. It separates us from the pack. Any of you that are NASCAR fans, I don't know if any of you are, there's a thing called drafting, and it's where when one car tucks in behind another real close, right behind them, really even touching them, right? Okay, so bumper to bumper, and it's not really pushing them around the track, but what happens is the two cars divide the air resistance between them. And so they're able to go faster, those two cars, than the rest of the pack, right? The rest of the cars trying to race. And so sometimes you'll even see two or three cars drafting instead of just two. And sometimes drafting in two lanes. It's really crazy depending on the track, right? But it's cool because they're now able to go faster, and then at a certain point, the car behind, tucked in behind on the draft, if it's a two car draft, the second car is able to slingshot out and floor it past the leader, because the leader has to break the air resistance, initial air resistance, and so there's power reserves from that second place in the draft. So I want you to look at the leverage that we have as a community like that. We're that second car in that draft. We're just as well, first and second car, we're pulling away from the rest of the pack. There is no competition. It's first and second place. And I'll tell you something, you win enough second places, because eventually that first place guy, unless he wins first place every time, which he won't, uh, if you win second place all the time, guess what happens? You get a trophy at the end of the year, right? It's called a cup. Used to be anyway. Used to be called a cup. Don't know what they call it now. Something cup. Probably Nextel Cup. I don't know. Nextel had it. When I remember from the old days, Winston Cup. So Winston Cup. Anyway, the point is the big trophy at the end of the year. You win second place enough like that. So my point is the pack pulls away. We pull away as a pack, as ring ads as a pack, from the pack rather, drafting around. And next thing you know, we slingshot past everybody consistently. And that is uh, that is, I would say, probably my main. I mean, I like the idea of being able to do that, have that kind of leverage with everyone that's serious about building the agency model, while at the same time benefiting from it personally, right? But benefiting you guys, right? Everybody wins on this one, except for the people that aren't inside ring ads and using ring ads, right? So that's why I say, hey, when I'm teaching you guys about this stuff, it's not because I'm ego driven or look at me. I very rarely look at the camera anymore. Sorry about that. Work on that. I'll work on that. I promise. Um, but the idea is what we have to do. The mission that we're on is to serve our clients and serve them well. And the best way to do that is exactly what I'm giving you, right? There's a million different ways to probably do it. The best way is what I'm giving you, 100%. There's no doubt. And there's not been an update that the ad platforms have done that I haven't been able to navigate through very easily, because we go with the flow instead of against it, or instead of trying to do something that's like a loophole or a hack. Those things tend not to last. They're fun while they last, but you can't build an entire business model on open loopholes and hacks, because those loopholes get closed. It's not like Google Ads doesn't know about loopholes or where they're at and the hacks and how they're being used. Same thing for Facebook ads and any other ad platform being ads, all of them. So anyway, um, yeah, that's what I had to say on that. Always reach out to support. That's the other point. Carrie was asking earlier about the disapproved ads. Stay in good contact with their support staff, because it shows them that you're a legit, advertiser. I know that sounds kind of crazy. It's like, well, why would I not be legit? I've got a card loaded, a bank account loaded. I've been running ads. Been running ads for 2 years. I'm telling you, man. Sometimes it's just internal flags. Uh, a lot of times it's automated initially, and once it starts getting flagged that way, you're going to have to go in there. And what they're going to do is they're going to evaluate that and probably lift whatever is constantly flagging your stuff. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, always highly recommend staying in good contact with the support staff for the ad platforms. Build that relationship. Think of them as, I mean, they're the lifeblood of us driving phone calls, right? And it's not just one ad platform, it's multiple. So you should probably get used to the idea of communicating on a regular basis with their support anytime you have any kind of small challenges, even just to make sure that you stay on top of things. Um, let's see. I'll give you another good example. Like if you had a big, let's say you've got a couple dozen clients, and now all of a sudden you get a regional deal or a national deal where you've got the ability or the potential to be driving over the next couple of weeks like hundreds and hundreds of calls, and you're spending thousands of dollars. You're making tons of money too, but that kind of a significant increase, I would probably message ahead to support and be like, hey, listen, I know it's probably not even a thing, but I just wanted to make sure you guys know I got a big client in a couple days ago. They have 50 locations. I'm going to be running 50 campaigns, and my ad spend is going to go from where it's at now to where it's probably going to be somewhere in this area, maybe more. And I expect it to continue to grow from there. But I just wanted you to know, like, if you see a jump in that, don't freak out. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out. That kind of stuff, that kind of preemptive, that kind of proactive approach. Do you have to do that every time you get a client? No, right? At the same time, what I just described would make a hell of a lot of sense. So take that for what it's worth, okay? On all support issues related to ad platforms, okay? Adrian says, good day, sir. Colin says, hey, William, haven't done any market research yet. Just made space to go full throttle on this, so doing the market research Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I have a friend who owns a moving company in Florida and New York. Anyway, we were chatting. Oh, this is a good post. Holy shit. Okay. Anyway, we were chatting, and he said tiers for local and out of state, etc. Yeah, local, long distance, local and long distance. Those are your two. You're saying, would I do this? Yes, I would. You're thinking $30 for any call, which should cover more expensive calls for our out of state moves. Absolutely not. Out of state's worth way more than that. You know, the when I was working for 2 Men in a Truck, I worked for them for a couple different times in my life, believe it or not, and their average cost per acquisition, uh, last I heard, was like $20 to $22 per booked move. Okay, what they spend to in advertising and all costs included, right? So they average out salaries and all that kind of stuff, or commissions and all that, plus whatever they spend on advertising. Costs them about 22. Keep in mind though, they run all kinds of different advertising. It's not like they're running call ads, okay? They might be, but uh, highly doubt it, okay? And that was for a lot of local moves. Now they're out of state moves, okay? They were acquiring for a lot more than that, right? It cost them a lot more than that. So I'm telling you right now, $30 is actually a pretty solid price for like local, right? Um, I'd say 20 to 25 would be a good start, like a big no-brainer for local. And then for long distance, man, you should be 50 up. It should be more like maybe even 75, 80, right? And in some areas, even 100, because there's a lot of big cities where people move all the way across the country, not halfway across the country. So, and there's a lot of people moving right now. Moving's a big industry right now and probably will continue to be for the next, Jesus, 18 months, right? Don't let the housing market fool you, okay? Let's see. Also, I couldn't see anywhere that covers onboarding in the docs, so I have a few questions I thought of. Would you add any that I've missed? Okay, so address, phone number you want the calls to go to, area of service, zip codes, precise towns, cities, and suburbs around their cities and counties, any zip codes or states that you won't service and that you don't serve, hours of service, 24-hour. Hell, a lot of these you should already have in your qualifying questions. Uh, so when you're making your pitch, you should already know this kind of stuff, right? Some of them. How many years in the business? 24-hour moving is probably not a thing, right? Almost never a thing, just for the record. How many years in business and reviews for ad extensions like GMB or callouts? Not so much. That's not an initial question that I usually deal with. Do you deal with smaller apartments or people who are looking for moving deals? Um, I mean, I would ask them what their range is. Like, I would ask them things like, what's their biggest ticket? Obviously, it's going to be long distance, but how many of those can they actually do a day? How many trucks do they have on the road? You're already going to know that from your qualifying, but it's basically how much of your business percentage wise is local, how much of it is long distance, and you're probably going to find somewhere like 80-20, 90-10 even in some cases, or 100% local if they don't do any long distance. Um, do you do local and out of state. Again, that's a qualifying question, right? That's something at the very beginning. Do you do same day service? That is, I mean, same day moves are very, very rare, very, very rare, and most people know that. Um, Most semi, even professional moving companies up don't do same day, even if they have a crew available that got off early or something. Sometimes stuff will get called in if it's a shorter move, right? And it's local, obviously. But bigger moves, yeah, those have to be booked out, and that's how they're pre-sold. Full service moving and packing, that's a good question. Any promotions? That's always good to ask. Uh, a lot of these, by the way, are questions that you can ask and engage your client with as you go. It's not something you have to have all the information up front like that to start with, because these are conversation topics to help build their relationship and show them that you're serious about driving money calls to them, right? The basics, the absolute basics of what you need to get started and create an account for them is where the phone number, what the phone number is as you're driving the phone calls to, what the office hours are, what their service areas are so that you can do your city, county, zip, right? Locations and what's their biggest tickets and the percentages of like local, out of state, that kind of stuff. So those are the basics, right? For moving anyway. How many trucks do they have on the road, right? Or crews rather. How many crews do they have on standby that they can call in or can they recruit for? Because we're just now entering into over the next like 30 days. We're just now entering into that moving season, believe it or not, good moving season, and it's really going to blow up in April. So uh, those are the basic questions I would ask. This is a ton of questions. You don't want to bug the shit out of them or scare the shit out of them in an email that they spend 30 minutes on or feel like they have to spend 30 minutes on. These are conversation points, topics that you talk to your client once a week, right? You're not done once you get a client. You got to keep talking to them, okay? These are the points that these are questions that I would be asking them. And not just grilling them, interrogating them. These questions kind of feel like, I know you were just asking the questions, I get it, but make sure you don't make them sound like you're an interrogator, okay? You want to actually engage with them. If they say they want more calls for, say, out of state, do I bother doing the local ads? Yeah, you do. If they still do local, again, ask them for that percentage, and you're going to find out real quick where most of their business is, right? And what you're going to be able to do for them, okay? Uh, I would also ask them probably one of the other like main questions I would ask, initial questions I would ask is, what do you not move? Like there are moving companies that specialize, for example, in grand pianos and baby grands and pool tables, right? Now, a lot of these days, not so many, right? And so you just want to make sure that those are excluded or included, depending on their abilities, right? But those are some things to definitely look out for. Julian says, Colin, comment. When I moved 5 garbage-sized bags of clothes from a storage unit just now 9 miles away to my apartment, it cost me $550 and took the moving company just 1 hour from start to finish, door to door. If they were to lift them up the stairs 4 flights, that would be an additional charge. Yeah, that sounds about right. And by the way, there's also in a lot of moving companies, not always, but in a lot of them, there's minimums like 2 hour minimums or 1 hour minimums where no matter what, this is what you're going to pay, right? And if it's long distance, obviously there's going to be mileage charges attached to that as well. But yeah, it's an interesting business. Definitely do a lot of market research. A lot of these answers are going to come to you about tiered pricing. But yeah, local long distance, start with that. Start with the basic questions. Take these other questions. Start mapping out what your conversations are going to be like. At least once a week, have a conversation with a client. Every client that you have, one conversation a week at least about these kinds of things so that they can see that you're targeting in and honing in on what's going to make them the most money, drive the most calls, most business for them, right? Shows them that you're fighting, shows them that you're smart, and you're capable of doing that. And when they see the results, they're like, damn, he really is doing it. Okay. Good questions too, by the way. Not that they're bad. It's just a lot for like an initial hit, right? I'm not seeing anything else. Anybody? Anything else? I don't want to keep everybody. We've been on 30 minutes. That's usually where I say, if nobody has anything else. But if anybody's got anything, I'm here. Right? Sometimes we got people come in late. I get it. Any questions? Any other questions, I should say? It's been some pretty good ones. Colin says, cool, thanks for that. Great answer. On to ads, since my friend is going to be my first client or client, and hope to set him up after I've done my market research this week. You say to up the bids. You say to up bids until not profitable anymore. Is that at break even? Just wondering how we get profit. Uh, there's a little bit more to it than that. And then number two, I'll get into it in a second. Number two, do you put negative keywords like U-Haul and other competitors? Absolutely. Yeah, you always want to start with as big a base of negatives as you can, and that comes from good market research. Good market research. You're always going to be adding to your negative keyword list, no doubt, but you want to start with a good base too, right? And that comes from, again, very solid market research on competitors that you don't want to include, or moving truck companies, Penske and all those, right? Knew a guy, funny story once, before I answer number one, your question number one here. Knew a guy once who thought Penske was Penske. don't ask me why. I don't know. I've always pronounced it Penske. I've never heard it different until this guy, and this is a couple years ago. It makes me laugh my ass off every time I think about it. But, you know, different strokes, I guess. Okay. It's funny. Practically everybody I know reads that and says Penske. This guy said Penske. It was funny. All right. Number one. So you say to up bids until not profitable anymore. Is that at break even? Just wondering how we get profit. Okay. So uh, the profit, it's not hard to explain. It's just hard for people to understand this, and I'm not sure why. So I'm gonna run through this with you. And I'm not saying it's hard for you to understand, but there's some things about that question that's a little too general. We're gonna get very specific here. So when you first start a campaign, okay, this is I did an analogy the other day, a couple weeks ago, with the mentorship, the Ring Has mentorship, and I'm gonna do it again here because I think it works pretty well. We talk about low hanging fruit all the time, right? Or I do. And the low hanging fruit and the below first page bid strategy to harvest as much fruit as possible, right? But we start with the low hanging fruit, which means we start our bids low and then we bump them up, right? Well, there's a process for that. And I want you to picture like a fruit harvester, right? A fruit tree harvester. So think of a machine, even though it may not actually do this. Think of the machine as having to climb the trunk of the fruit tree, because on the trunk at a certain point there's no fruit, right? Not even the low hanging stuff. And as you work your way up that tree, like in an orange grove, right, the orange tree is kind of like circular, not quite, but got that spherical shape, and a long stem trunk, right? And so you're working your way up the trunk. That's you bumping bids until you get to what we call the low hanging fruit. Now, that process is described as bumping all of your keywords $1 at a time every 1 to 2 days until you start to see impressions, clicks, and calls, which we call or define as traffic. So impressions, clicks, and calls. When you see a campaign wide, when you see impressions, clicks, and calls, even just one phone call, okay, campaign wide, you have reached the bottom of where the low hanging fruit is. The top part of the trunk just before the low hanging fruit starts on the tree, right? That's where the harvester is at now. Okay. Then what we do is we shift gears onto the harvester now that we're up where the low hanging fruit is, right? And our harvester starts harvesting the low hanging fruit and goes level by level. And so I'm going to explain this is a different when you shift gears, understand that shifting of gears is a shifting of gears. So we only bump $1 every 1 to 2 days, 24 to 48 hours to get to that low hanging fruit level. Okay. Now, once we see the traffic, impressions, clicks, and calls, that's what we're calling it, right? Traffic. Once we see the traffic, we shift the gears, we go into the mode of harvesting. And so harvesting is going to be bumping your bids on one of two schedules. There's a standard speed and there's accelerated. And accelerated is usually used for higher end. It's used for either people in a real fucking hurry, which please don't be. It's worth it to not be, I should say. Um, or for people that are in an industry that, um, from their market research, they understand is going to be a little bit higher price of a call. So, for example, attorneys of any kind versus pest control. Pest control is going to be very, very short trunk tree. Okay, you're going to start at $1 and you're going to start seeing some fucking movement at 2 in prime season. Okay, $2. So you're not going to go very far up that tree before you shift gears, right? But on a tree trunk of a fruit tree for a divorce lawyer, it's going to go up a little bit higher, right? And you're going to start to find an average of where that is, right? $14. Okay, so now I know that most of my fruit trees, my divorce lawyer client fruit trees, if you will, are going to start at $14. So I don't always have to start at $3 anymore, right? I know to start more at like 12, so that I can clunk into that gear, shift into that gear for the fruit harvester at the low hanging fruit 2 days from now, not a week from now, right? It really speeds up this process, but you're not going to know any of that kind of shit until you, guess what, get clients and get them moving so that you can. This is another reason why we talk about the blitz. So, client blitz. So, you're going to start to see all this stuff that I teach you kind of fold in together and how it helps. And I haven't even really started on the rest of the campaign and how it's going to function. We're getting there. Okay. So, um, when the harvester is at the low hanging fruit level, okay, this is where we shift into standard speed or accelerated speed. Accelerated speed is $1 a day, again, until it's no longer profitable. Okay. But there's some exceptions, or some things to some caveats, not exceptions. There's some caveats to that rule, meaning you have to, anytime a keyword becomes eligible, leave it at that bid, right? So if a keyword becomes eligible at $16, you don't bump it to 17. It's eligible to show on the first page. Leave it at 16. Leave it alone. If a keyword converts, right, in other words, drives a billable phone call, the same bid that it converted at. So if you have a call that converted at $8, right, you're going to take that winning keyword, put it in its own ad group inside the main campaign, right? Not a new campaign. We don't do that anymore. We do the main campaign now. New ad group for the converted keyword with the 3 different versions, right? Which I covered February 14th in depth on why we do 3 versions now as opposed to broad match modified. Don't do broad match modified anymore, right? So one less thing for you have to worry about. It's actually kind of nice for us. So we've got the 3 versions inside of that ad group, but with the same bid of $8, and that does not change. Okay. Now, the accelerated speed, I said that already, is $1 a day until it's no longer profitable. Standard speed is $1 every 1 to 2 weeks. So the idea here is let it sit for 1 to 2 weeks, and that fruit harvester is going to go along at that level. Think Pac-Man, along the bottom level of that tree at that $5 level. And then a week or 2 later, you're going to bump it to the $6 level, and the harvester is going to harvest there. And the keywords that are eligible at the $5 level stay at the $5 level, and the keywords that are eligible at the $6 level stay at the $6 level as you continue to bump. So ultimately, you're going to be bumping fewer and fewer keywords because more of them and more of them become eligible, and you're going to see this spherical shape take place, or circular shape, I guess, 2D here, um, from your bids. You're going to see a few more, a few more, a few more, and it does that bowl shape. And then as you get closer to the top of the tree, guess what? You're going to see less and less and less and less and less until you get to where, oh, no longer profitable. That is the top of the fruit tree. Okay. Now, what people don't seem to understand about this and why it works um, so well is because as you get up there, you've maximized all the fruit that you can grab, right? You've gotten all the fruit that you can grab. Here's the other thing you're doing though. The entire time that you're harvesting fruit, you're improving the performance of the harvester machine itself. The harvester machine, the campaign, in other words. So the campaign is the harvester machine, and the fuel it runs on is money. It's dollars, right? You pour dollars into the fuel tank, it spends the dollars, it harvests the fuel. Kind of makes sense, right? Or harvests the fruit, not fuel. Harvests the fuel, harvest the fruit. Okay, so here's the thing though. We work on the carburetor, we tune it up a bit, And guess what happens? This is optimizing the campaign. So this is think about negative keywords, think about new keyword ideas, always split testing your ad copy, picking the winner, split testing again, never not running a split test. You're always running split tests on your ad copy, improving your call out extensions, your ad extensions in general, all those things, right? You keep working at those things, and what happens is the performance of the harvester machine itself gets better while you're harvesting fruit. Now, I'm not a fruit harvester or a fruit farmer, fruit, shit, what do you call them? Um, fruit farmer, I guess. I don't know. It's fucking weird. Anyway, I obviously don't harvest any fruit. Okay, not nagging on anybody or picking on anybody that does. It's a humble profession. I'm just saying. Obviously, I am not one of those fruit guys. Okay, so if I'm not a fruit picker slash harvester, farmer, whatever, uh, then I can't tell you for certain, but I'm almost certain that you cannot work on a harvesting machine, because I know they do have harvesting machines, but I'm almost certain that you cannot work on those harvesting machines and fine tune them while they're in the field harvesting fruit. Pretty sure they have to be in the shop somewhere while you're working on them. Not this one, though. That's the difference. It's a little bit different than harvesting fruit, but everything else in the analogy fits pretty well. So imagine being able to work on the fruit harvester, making it better, meaning you can cover more fruit trees a day, right? And now you start to see where the costs are going to be coming down. Oh, but aren't I bidding more and more and more? Yes, on some of the keywords, and others you got at the lowest possible and kept it at the lowest possible. And if your ad copy keeps getting better and your optimization keeps getting better, guess what? You're going to get better quality phone calls, and not only that, you're going to be able to spend more money. And not only that, Google Ads is going to see this across several campaigns and go, wow, this entire account deserves some weight. And whether they like to admit it or not, there's been ex-employees that have on the record, in writing, in interviews, in multiple cases, that have said, yes, there is something called account weight. It's not a joke. It's not a fictitious thing. They deny, but hey, that's their right, I guess, to do that. I'm telling you straight out, when ex-employees say, and it makes sense, you can't you can't have a bidding you can't have an auction set up and not have favoritism shown to what's going to make the most money for all involved, right? What's going to be the best deal for all involved, and there's just no way. And if it's going to carry through, if they track everything to the account level, they're not going to stop at campaign level. They're going to keep going, right? So the more campaigns you have that are dialed in, by the way, your first client like that, you can take those results, pull them over to your second, and it's even better out of the gate. Your third is even better than your second and your first out of the gate. Your fourth, and so on. Next thing you know, half a dozen campaigns in, you'll start to see exactly what I'm talking about. And what happens is your costs drop by like 20 to 30% overnight, sometimes even more than that. And you'll be like, wow, what happened? And by the way, when your costs drop, but you're still feeding the same amount of fuel dollar wise into your harvesting machines, right? Into your campaigns. You're still spending $50 a day per campaign or whatever, but your costs drop, your call volume goes up. Imagine that. You make more money, you can reinvest and get even more clients and get even more money in the budgets for all those clients. And so that money is starting to be spent more efficiently over time. That's how the campaigns grow. Okay. And that's the bidding process. So when you say, the reason I said all that is so you have a good understanding of the entire process, why it works, and why everybody else can't figure that out. Um, but you're asking a question that now, if I go back to it, you say to up bids until not profitable anymore. That was a very small fraction of what I just described, right? And it has nothing to do actually with whether you get into profit or not. It's if you run the entire set of what I just said. That's the biggest part. And again, people miss that, so that's why I gave you the analogy. Hope the analogy put things into perspective for you. I always talk about the fruit tree, but I never really kind of explained how the campaigns act and how you can work on the campaigns, or the work on the harvesting machine, if you will. Part of the analogy, I added that in because it seems to make. I had a few other people had some light bulbs, so that's why I'm repeating it here, because it seemed like it made sense to everybody else. Finally, in some cases. Um, what I've been saying all these years about why we do what we do and why it works so well. It also means we don't have to play the bidding war game and bid individually on keywords or anything. I've also seen people that have started running with what I teach you guys and stopped doing that and just started bidding randomly on keywords and totally fucking tanked an $80,000 a month business down to $3,000 a month. I've seen that happen. Please don't be that guy, okay? Because you will not like yourself when you wake up. That'll be a bad time for you, and I don't want that. Right, Magic, gotcha. It was the eligible bit I was missing. Yes, right. We don't care about uh, if it's below first page bid, by the way, and it still converts as a converting keyword, the bid stays where it's at. I want to be very clear about that. It does not have to be eligible. You don't keep bumping it. If it converts at $6 and it says, but it's still not eligible, it's still below first page bid, until you hit 12, you're still running it at $6 in the new ad group for the converting keyword because you're going to pull in conversions with that. Think about it. As your campaign optimizes and your costs become lower and lower, are you still going to be able to spend money efficiently through that campaign? Yes, you are, right? And as Google decides to drop your costs in addition to that, right, it's an even bigger hit in a positive way, but an even bigger positive hit for your campaigns across the board. Those keywords are in ad groups are going to convert even more at a lower bid than it freaks people out. Like still to this day, I look at it and go, man, you wouldn't know it to look at it, but that below first page bid pulls in more calls than stuff that's eligible, and that's true. Winning keywords will do that. Okay. Uh, I'm from Scotland, so it was interesting to see how Penske was written from how it's spoken. Yeah, I think it's a name. I could be wrong, but I think it's a name, and I just always heard it called Penske. Anyway, last question and massive thanks. Okay. Uh, I won't hold you to the last question because you've got some good ones and you keep popping up with them. So if you got questions, I'm going to answer them. And no, I'm not Radio Shack. Uh, I remember you say, I think, you saying something about training clients to take calls asking for a competitor. Yes. With the negative keywords like competitors, U-Haul, or a local competitor, U-Haul is not really a competitor. U-Haul is a moving truck company slash storage company, like a do-it-yourself moving company. Any of those guys, they're not considered competitors. No, you wouldn't send U-Haul or Penske calls or enterprise truck, enterprise commercial truck calls to your guys, to your clients. You wouldn't do that. Um, Local competitors would be things like All My Sons, Six Sons, uh, college. What's that? College moving guys. Oh shit, my brain's fried. Two men in a truck. You get the idea, right? Those are actual moving competitors. Okay. I was thinking if they want to take calls or are able to deal with calls looking for a competitor, but we don't do that. But don't we do that? Uh, I mean, don't add the competitors to proper keywords. Hope I explained that properly. No, I don't understand what you're asking. I'm going to take a stab at it though. So I was thinking if they want to take calls or are able to deal with calls looking for a competitor, but don't we do that? I think you mean don't, but they don't do that. Then don't add the competitor's name. Okay. So if they take calls from actual competitors, like I just described, not U-Haul, not Penske, right? Not Enterprise, none of those guys. But if they take calls, if they are willing to take calls from companies like that are people are searching for, again, All My Sons or Two Men in a Truck, that kind of thing, right? Um, then yeah, you send them and you put them in the you don't add them to the negative keywords. Okay, you don't add them to the negatives. It's you're going to want to make sure that your market research is really good so that you can have a solid negative list to get rid of all the junk and crap. So that way those keywords perform better out of the gate. You will drive, those are typically competitor calls are the lowest hanging fruit if someone's able to take competitor phone calls and knows how to handle them. Is this two men in a truck? Oh, no, it's not. But we're a moving company. All My Sons have been around 30 years. What can I do? We'll do a good job for you. You got a move coming up? Tell us about it. right? That's how you convert somebody. Now, some people are looking for 2 minute a truck because they already booked or spoke with somebody about booking or whatever, and they're not going to go with anybody but 2 minute a truck. That's fine. You don't count that as a qualified call because they specifically said, I have a booking with them, or no, I'm just looking for them, right? But every call that's not that and they get it, that's qualified, right? Whether they get it or not as a booking, if they were open to it and it wasn't a book job somewhere else or a potential book job somewhere else, they were looking for somebody else, then that's a qualified phone call for sure. And if they don't take competitor calls, which I do frown on that personally, working with clients, but sometimes you'll have clients that start out not taking competitor calls because they want to see what your service is like without the competitor calls. If that's the case, or if you just have someone who's stubborn as hell and won't take any competitor calls, then yeah, you're going to add in all the local competitors, actual local competitors into the negative keyword section so that those calls don't pop up. Will you still have some pop up occasionally? Yes, you will. In some cases, because the word moving might be in their name, there might not be anything you can do about it, right? You can do things about 2 men in a truck. You can do things about all my sons. Outside of that, right, it's going to get a little tricky, but you're not going to be wasting a ton of money either. So it's not something to like really sweat about or freak out about. But hopefully that makes sense. Okay, you're saying, yeah, perfect. You got what I was meaning. Add the 2 minute truck to the proper ad campaign. Add Penske to negative keywords. Definitely was the last question. Thanks for your answers. Massive help. Yeah, always happy to help, man. Happy to have you here. Keep doing what you're doing. Work hard on the market research. Post back in the group. Tell us what you find, and I'll be able to help guide you and make sure that you did it well enough. Excuse me. Believe it or not, market research tends to be one of those main areas, one of those key areas that people tend to slack on or think they did well, but maybe they could have done a lot better, and maybe they just didn't know how yet. And that's okay. That's what I'm here for. So that's why I say, hey, get some data together, come back to the group, tell everybody what you found, and I'll be more than happy to make sure you're pointed in the right direction, because that is really the foundation for everything you're doing. And the more you know the market, the easier it is to, you could screw the script up, the sales script up 6 ways from Sunday. And if you know the market well enough and sound like a moving company, you're going to get business, right? Even screwing up, you're going to get business. That's a guarantee. I've seen people do that. I've taught people that did that over and over and over again because they just knew the industry, because they did a hell of a lot. They did a great job on the marketing research. Okay, so market research Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. So put my findings in the group on Thursday. Cool. I'll look for it. Happy to help as always. Any other questions? Again, don't want to keep anybody, not trying to rush off or anything, but don't want to waste anybody's time. It is a Sunday afternoon. So if anybody has anything else, be happy to answer. I don't see anybody in the Zoom waiting room, so nobody's coming in. That's cool. No, you're not hurting my feelings. Don't worry. But if you have questions, in the comment section is fine, or in the live Zoom, either or. Okay. Happy to help as always. And with that, I will make this last call then, and I'll take some more of my green drink. I haven't got all this down yet. Usually I get this down within the first 30 minutes. Oh man, some of it settled. Muhammad Zakir Hussein. It's been a while since I've heard from you, sir. Hey William, how you been? Good to see you after a little while. I agree. Same here. Quick question about the December Dash. Have the winners been awarded yet? No, they have not. I haven't gotten to that yet. I'll get to you guys. Don't worry. I promise. You're on my list. I've got it right over here. It's actually right under my phone and my firearm. Believe it or not, but it is here and it is in writing. I got you guys all set. I haven't forgot about you. I promise. I haven't received any notification from PayPal, nor have I received anything through post. So I was just wondering. Yep, I got you covered. Questy's here. Good evening, sir. Hello. All right. Cool. All right, guys. Well, um, let's bounce out of here. Let's call it a day. I'm okay with it being an hour. Sometimes these calls go, if you look back in the track record, sometimes they go 3, 4 hours. I think my record, not that I was trying to, but we just had a lot of people and a lot of good stuff to cover. I think my record is like 7.5 hours in one stream, and it was in the Ring As mentorship, believe it or not, and it was sometime late last year. I can't remember when it was, but it was 7.5 hours straight. It was a great session too. So much cool stuff covered. Anyway, um, for those of you not in the mentorship, I'm actually going to be um, sending out some notifications on that, pushing that out here soon. And again, and at some point here, probably April, I'm going to be bumping the price on that. So if you were thinking about um, getting into the mentorship, you should probably consider that sooner rather than later. I will say that. No hard sell or anything like that. I'll send out some emails and stuff, but um, that's kind of where we're at right now. A lot of good stuff going on, and prices are going to reflect that on the stuff that you can invest in. Right, software stays free. You guys know that. I do that on purpose so that you can make good money and then reinvest with us. Right. All right. Uh, cool. Well, let's bounce out of here. I'll catch you guys on the 14th, March 14th, which happens to be, if I'm not mistaken, another Sunday. So we've got 2 months in a row here where's the calendar at? There it is. Yeah, 2 months in a row here where the 14th and 28th end up on a Sunday, February and March. And then in April, what is it? It's going to be on a Wednesday. That's interesting. Um, yeah, how about that on a Wednesday? And I think June is the next scheduling conflict we'll have. No, yep, June. So June we'll have to change up the time a little bit. The day will be the same, but the time will be a little bit different. So April, May, we're fine on April, May. No problems there. Yep, March, April, May. What's July look like? Just curious. Wednesday. August is in on Saturday. September will be meeting on Tuesdays. October will be meeting on Thursdays. November of this year is we'll be meeting on Sundays again. And December we'll be meeting on Tuesdays again. So looks like June is the only conflict this year, which is cool. That's easy enough to work around, right? We'll just bump by a couple hours, probably to start us at 2 p.m. While I do the Ring As mentorship call for a couple hours, and come over here and do the 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time call. But 12 p.m. is our standard time, 14th and 28th of every month. You guys know that. Always here for you. Happy to help. Let's see. That's cool. I don't mind paying more, even if it was 10,000 a month. I would pay if I get to the level where I make 500,000 per month. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a $10,000 a month level. Um, I don't know if I ever will. I really don't. I don't think it's necessary, but I think what I'm going to end up doing, I don't know if Adrian, if you heard me talking about the Ring Ads royalty any, right? I haven't talked a lot about it. Again, playing it close to the chest, but I have released some images. You guys have seen those, right? You've seen the rings, yeah? I don't know. Have you guys seen the rings? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Have you guys seen the Ring Ads royalty rings? Did I share those with you guys yet, or was that just the mentorship? I can't remember. I'll be honest. Um, Tell me if you've seen the rings. If you haven't, I'll pull up some pictures. Uh, Let me find the finder here. There we go. Where's my finder at? Have you guys haven't seen the rings? Okay. Uh, oh, you know what? They're on the main page. Let me just go to Ring Ads, ringads.com, and I'm going to pull that up in a window. I'm going to go over to my screen so you guys can see that. Here we are. So ringads.com. If you scroll down, you'll see me in a little video. Yay. Shut up, William. All right. Just for a minute, though. And if we scroll down, you'll see, there we go. There was one. So if we go back to the slideshow here, you'll see there's a 6-figure ring. There's a 7-figure ring, an 8-figure ring. Then there's like somewhere down here. Hold on. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where is it at? There it is. The 9-figure ring. Seriously, yes, 9 figures. Not a joke. Not a joke. Wow, that was loud and in my ear. Hold on, we'll find it. Where's my other ring? One of my favorites. There it is. The billionaire ring. Yes, that's the deal. So yeah, this is what we call the ring adds royalty. Obviously, the ring is a small part of that, but definitely a part of that. And we're putting together not just again the ring, but it's think of it as like a wow, that was loud too. Let me get rid of that. There we go. It's because I got my volume maxed out, so I can make sure I can hear anybody if they had questions or whatever. Anyway, with the rings, it's part of what we call the ring adds royalty, and it's a reward system for you guys, obviously, to when you hit certain milestones. But and there's milestones even before the six figures, just not rings, right? So the rings kind of makes you royalty, right? And there's going to be an application process. There's going to be verification of things like that. So proof's going to be needed, and of course things like you got to be using ring ads, obvious stuff like that in order to be ring ads royalty. It kind of makes sense, right? Uh, but all that's in the works, right? That all the finer points of that are in the works, including the things that come with uh, being ring ads royalty. But if I were to have higher end um, uh, programs, they would be for the ring ads royalty and they would be free of charge, right? Because here's the thing: if you've got a six-figure ring on your hand, a seven-figure, eight-figure ring on your hand, and up, you're going to be able to afford anything I throw out there. So, uh, not a big deal for you at all, even at the six-figure ring a year, right? That's a no-brainer. So, um, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing there. So the programs I do again is to reinvest and to uh, again help build that community side. This isn't really like a let me nickel and dime you to death kind of a business model that I've set up here, and it's not going to be. The idea is again, I'll have probably like if we ever do an event, which I'm sure we will, because that's in the works as well. We're going to do breakout meetings for Ring as royalty. So six-figure ring level is going to have a special meeting. Seven-figure ring levels are going to have a special meeting. And so guess what? If there's only two seven-figure ring level people to start, guess what? Those two people get to meet with me and maybe a few select others that I have lined up as well. How cool would that be, right? So that in itself is a reward, right? And then there's going to be certain things that I do from time to time where it's like, all my seven-figure ring earners, let's let's go here and do this, right? Or let's meet up here and work for 3 or 4 days on this, right? And there's not going to be a charge for that, um, because there's not going to have to be, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where we're at on that. Someone's asking, who was it asked that? Muhammad, was it Muhammad? Yeah, Muhammad said, how much will you bump it up by? I'm not sure yet. Right now it's at $14.97 a year, $147 a month. I'm thinking, and if you get in, then you're going to be in at the grandfathered price, right? So um, the idea is get in earlier, you get rewarded for that, right? And the earlier you get in, the so we reward our what do I say our not our early followers, but our um, the and it's not early bird because it's not really an early bird kind of a thing, but the our diehards, right? Our diehard fans, right? And people that were with us from the beginning, right? That kind of a thing, because we're still very much in the beginning phases and stages in a lot of ways, and that's why everything's so exciting. But yeah, I would say if I'm bumping it any, which I know I am, I would think probably it's going to be April. But see, my birthday's in April at the end of April, and so I'm thinking bumping prices is kind of a bummer, right? I want to give people enough of a shot to like more than enough of a shot between now and the time that the bump happens. So I'm probably going to do it like May 1st or some shit, right? Like May 1st or maybe May 5th, and we'll do it on Day of the Dead, right? Cinco de Mayo, right? Maybe we'll do it on Day of the Dead. That way, if you don't do it by the 5th before the price hike, then then you're dead, right? You're not really dead, but you know what I mean. Something like that, but it's post, April 30th. That way I can actually enjoy my birthday and not have to deal with hearing a bunch of people in support, bitching and moaning or crying to me about the fact that they didn't get in time, right? I don't want that. I want you guys to have plenty of time. And I certainly don't want anybody to have to resort to or feel like they have to resort to that kind of activity to get in, right, at a good rate. So probably going to run that till May. It sounds like it's a long way off, but today's the last day in February. That gives you all of March and all of April. That's it. So if you're serious, you're ready to bust in, and go for it. And you'll have some time between now and then. But if I'm bumping, which I know I am, then I'm going to be bumping probably to $3,000 a year, and the monthly is going to work out to be like 300. So about double. It's going to double up. Yeah, there's going to be a lot coming too in April for it, so it'll be even more worth it than it already is. But yeah. So I would say look for that and keep your eye on that. Keep focused. Keep working on what you're working on. A lot of you are doing good stuff. Got a lot of good questions. So happy to see that. Goal of getting the 6-figure earner ring this year then. Hey man, I've seen people do that in 3 months, 4 months. No shit. I'm not trying to say change your goals or anything. I'm just saying I'm not a big believer in goals. I'm just saying work hard and keep your focus where it needs to be. And you're going to see 6 figures a hell of a lot faster than you think. Okay? Hell of a lot faster than you think. And yeah, it's crazy how fast it can come. Seriously. So keep working at it, and we'll see you in the royalty. No doubt. Man, I can't wait to put some rings on you guys, man. It's going to be fun. Oh, okay. With that, let's bounce out of here. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of the weekend. If you have any left, some of you are across the pond, so you don't really have much left of the weekend. But take some time for yourself, a couple hours at least, for your family, for yourself. And don't be a workaholic. This business doesn't require but 1 to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Seriously, the whole way through. It's all about how you spend that 1 to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And if you've got questions about that, come to me. I'll answer them for you. No problem. I'll help you structure it even based around your actual schedule. I have no problems doing that with you and working that out with you. Talking about what we're going to be able to do, what we can't do, what we've got to figure out, right? I've done that so many times it's not even funny. I'm very good at it. It's one of the many things, and it's a necessary thing. It's a necessity for you to be able to picture how your schedule is going to be day to day and see where there's going to be family time, right? If you're worried about family time or not having enough because you work all the time and you want to work yourself out of the place you're in, but that means spending more time away from the family, then we should probably have a talk about that, because I can show you how to not manipulate your schedule, but how to work things in such a way that work to your advantage and still not sacrifice the family time. Super important, right? I understand that. So anyway, let's bounce out of here, and I'll catch you guys on the 14th, March 14th. All right. Bye for now.
Cool. UFO. Back on my shit with a new advantage. I leave it up to you to settle the damage. Diamond, yeah, I know it's foreign to him. I came from the guts of rural Alabama. Steph Curry wrist, watch with the handle. Simple motors, gotta lead by example. Not too many make it out when they doubt. Never been about bailing off of my route. Rain gang, got the city HD. Hate to see my brother die every week. Numb to your vision. My life got me too fucked up. Disrespect to make a nigga go dumb. Pillow talking while you nursing that bitch and turn you to a scrub. I let prices from the plug. Bay Shore, Ocean View, I win Adidas with the boots. Niggas out here slinging arbitrage, so the money really no excuse. Welcome to the realm.